On April 18th, 2016, Missy Beavers woke up at 3:30 a.m. to instruct her fitness class that was scheduled for 5 a.m. Missy worked as a fitness instructor for Camp Gladiator. She was also a mother of three, a wife, and a well-regarded figure in her community who helped people achieve their fitness goals. At approximately 4:15 a.m., Missy arrived at the Creekside Church of Christ, where she planned on instructing her fitness class. Missy would typically host the class outside in the parking lot, although this time she was prepared to host inside due to the severe storm that had been going on all night. Missy had entered the church at 4:18 a.m., transporting workout equipment from her truck to inside the building. At around 5 a.m., 3 of the first fitness attendees arrived and made their way inside the building, only to be met with the horrifying sight of Missy Beavers, unresponsive inside one of the rooms of the church, with puncture wounds on her head, as well as multiple on her chest. The attendees quickly called 911, as well as Missy's husband, although he wasn't able to be there right away, since he was on a trip to Mississippi for the week. The police arrived shortly after, searching the building, but to no avail, only finding glass and debris in other parts of the church. The only thing that police were able to uncover was this chilling footage taken mere minutes before Missy was murdered. The surveillance footage taken at 4 a.m. shows someone in full SWAT gear, including a vest reading police, strolling around the church with a hammer in hand, trying to open doors, breaking glass windows, and destroying door handles. The intruder also rummaged through file cabinets and in the process left papers scattered, as if they were looking for something specific. Strangely enough, nothing was stolen, not even the jewelry from Missy's body. In the surveillance footage, many things stuck out to investigators, including the mannerisms of the perpetrator, which seemed feminine in some parts of the footage, making them retract their initial statement of it being a male and consider a female killer. The killer also inhabits a distinct limp and walking pattern, which investigators state most likely came from an injury of some sort. The security footage has been analyzed to exhaustion by many internet sleuths, and some theorize that her husband was in on it, since they had been having a lot of marital issues caused by financial stress and possible infidelity. Many also find it all too convenient that he was on this trip exactly at the right time. There is also the creepy LinkedIn message that Missy had received 3 days prior to her death. She had shown it to a close friend and mentioned that it unsettled or disturbed her. The investigators in the case were only able to access limited details about the message because whoever had sent it deleted it within 3 days before Missy was murdered. Another detail about the case that is too odd to be a coincidence is the fact that almost 3 hours earlier, a Nissan Altima was seen entering the parking lot of a gun store. The person drove around, not getting out or parking, just driving around the building for 5 straight minutes, as well as flashing their headlights at random times, as if they were signaling to someone. This is who is thought to be the killer, since the church is only a mile down from this exact same road. Because the gun store was closed, people suspect that if this is the killer, they were looking for an inconspicuous spot to park their car, but left when they noticed the cameras. The reason this theory has become popular is because the person who killed Missy did arrive on foot. But even if this is the killer, it doesn't explain the sporadic flashing of the headlights. To this day, we still don't know who killed Missy Beavers. On April 1st of 2006, Brian Schaefer mysteriously disappeared while out celebrating the start of spring break in Columbus, Ohio. Brian Schaefer was born on February 25th, 1979 in Pinkerton, Ohio. He was a medical student at The Ohio State University, described as charming, easygoing, and well-liked. Despite his rigorous studies, Brian always found time to enjoy life. On March 31st, 2006, Brian went and ate dinner with his father, who noticed that Brian looked drained from his studies and suggested that he get some sleep after. However, Brian had already made plans with one of his good friends, William Clint Florence. The night started with the two getting drinks at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a popular bar near the Ohio State campus. Brian and Clint bar hopped around the arena district, meeting up with another friend named Meredith, where they all decided to drive back to the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Surveillance footage captured Brian entering the bar at around 1:15 a.m. with Clint and Meredith, all appearing to be in good spirits. They walked up the escalator and into the bar. Over the next hour, Brian was seen talking to two women outside the bar entrance. After a brief conversation, He walked back inside, alone, at 1:55 a.m. From that moment onwards, Brian Schaefer was never seen again. The bizarre part is that there is no footage of him leaving. Despite multiple exits and surveillance cameras around the venue, none captured Brian leaving. His friends later searched the bar for him as it was closing, but he was nowhere to be found. They assumed that he had just gone home, so they left without him. The following days remained with no word from Brian, initiating a massive search for him. Interviews with Clint and Meredith revealed no suspicious behavior, though Clint notably refused to take a lie detector test and hired a lawyer, which struck many as suspicious. Theories surrounding his disappearance range from accidental death to foul play. Some believe Brian may have left through an unmonitored service exit, only to be met with harm, which is very possible since part of the bar was under construction. With that area having no surveillance, Brian could have very easily exited the bar undetected. Another popular theory suggests that he never left the bar. Since the construction in the back was unmonitored, some think that he could have stumbled his way through there and fell in a shaft or a hole of some kind, though that theory is extremely unlikely since construction workers would have stumbled upon his body. And given the fact that police searched the area very thoroughly, even bringing dogs to sniff for Brian's scent, still nothing was found, leaving others speculating that he had staged his own disappearance to start a new life, possibly influenced by grief after his mother's recent death from cancer. However, this can also be disproved since Brian was very close with his father and little brother, and he had recently booked a trip to Miami with his girlfriend, where it was speculated that he would propose. To this day, Brian's younger brother believes Clint knows what happened to Brian, as well as the father of Brian's girlfriend, who helped in the initial search. He has publicly stated that he believes all roads to making any progress in the case lead to Clint Florence. On July 8th, 2014, Lars Matank mysteriously disappeared while on vacation in Varna, Bulgaria. Lars was born on February 9th, 1986 in Germany. He was known to be a friendly and athletic young man. He was also a technician at a power plant in Wilhelmshaven, Germany. In late June 2014, Lars and his friends decided to travel to the Golden Sands Resort in Varna, Bulgaria. The trip started out relatively normal. Lars and his friends were enjoying their stay at the resort, visiting local bars and clubs. On July 6th, the last day of their stay, Lars got into a dispute with a few men at a bar, supposedly over soccer. Things became physical as the altercation developed, which ended in Lars having a ruptured eardrum. The friends were appalled at the altercation and advised him to go to the hospital. He ended up being prescribed antibiotics. He could have underwent surgery to recover from his injury. Considering the unfamiliar surroundings, it's very likely that Lars would have much preferred having the operation done in his home country of Germany. After receiving the antibiotics, he proceeded to his hotel and informed his friends that he would not be joining them on the way back home as anticipated that day. Due to the changing cabin pressure on the plane, the doctor advised him to avoid high altitudes. His friends shared concern for his condition and were hesitant to leave without him. But Lars assured them that he would go back in a day or two and wanted to play it safe. Expecting his arrival, just a few days later, they said their goodbyes and boarded their flight. Lars, now unaccompanied, searched for a cheap hotel he could rest in until he was able to return to Germany. The options were few, but he eventually found the Hotel Color. It was cheap and near the airport, so it was a fitting choice for the remainder of his stay. As the sun went down, Lars' demeanor changed. He called his mother, claiming that he was being followed and needed a place to hide, also requesting her to freeze his credit cards. As soon as Sandra Matank complied, he briefly hung up. Later on, he texted his mom, asking what Cefprozil 500 was, which was the medication he was prescribed. Surveillance cameras caught Lars pacing in a panicked manner, concealing himself in the elevator, only to leave the hotel for an hour, before returning to his room to stay there for the remainder of the night. Lars called his mom one more time that night, saying that the people that were following him were getting closer and that he was anxious and scared. Briefly after calling his mom, he entered a taxi and started to make his way to the airport, all while texting his mom. The phone's battery was declining quickly, making Sandra more and more anxious. She suggested that he see the airport doctor before boarding. He agreed and walked his way over to Dr. Costa Kostov's office. The doctor saw the blatant unusual / paranoid behavior that Lars was exhibiting. Dr. Kostov inspected Lars and assured that he could board the flight. A construction worker who was working on a terminal in the airport abruptly intruded into the office, which due to the nature of their job, it's not unusual for a construction worker to have access to these sort of areas. Something about this occurrence freaked Lars out enough to mumble, "I don't want to die here." Seconds after saying this, Lars ran out of the room. Lars is seen desperately running through the airport. His behavior is chilling, as we see him sprinting for his life. After leaving the airport, he makes a turn, jumps a fence, and sprints into a wooded area, never to be seen again. The mysterious nature of Lars' disappearance left law enforcement baffled, even after a thorough investigation. No body or trace of him was ever found. Theories range from abduction to planned murder. Based on what we know, it is very likely that Lars was undergoing some sort of extreme paranoia. Some theorizers believe that it was due to a brain injury from the bar fight. The other possibility is some sort of psychosis caused by the medication. He was prescribed cefprozil, which in very rare cases can cause confusion or borderline psychosis. Nonetheless, we still don't know what exactly happened to Lars Matank.